we'll get right to it here. The House GOP released their budget plan last night. So does their plan create an environment to hit the necessary triggers for future income tax reductions?
They're trying to through some creative use of the state's rainy day fund, and also designating some things as appropriations or not. So there is some of the clever budgeting that's going on there. I mean, I think some of that will really be determined at the end of the fiscal year this year, once the once the final receipts for taxes are counted and how much the state spent on money, and really we get a firm idea of what the state's budget surplus, which it looks like the state's going to have another one of those this fiscal year, and how much of that will end up going into the state's rainy day fund. So a little bit more to see on that, but I think they're really hoping for that next year. Other than that, this is not the budget that Governor Andy Beshear proposed earlier this month, or I guess late last month, in which he was proposing across the board 11% raises for Kentucky educators, also universal pre-K. Those two elements are not in there. There is a slight increase in the state's education funding formula both years of the next budget cycle. And lawmakers do say that can allow school districts to flow some of that money down to teachers to provide them raises. But this is something that teachers and some groups have been calling for, to really just create an across the board raise, so that this will happen, because not all school districts treat that extra money in the same way. Another thing they did is kind of separated the budget bill into two different bills. One's kind of your recurring costs budget, and another one is more dedicated at one-time academic development efforts, and some other money related to wastewater infrastructure, or water infrastructure, and also adding more money into the state's pension systems, which are doing better than they have, say, 5 years ago, but they still require a little bit of extra attention from state budget writers. Every year they have to put a little bit of extra money to keep them solvent, to make sure that future state workers, and they retire, can reliably have those pension checks going out. So this is early on in the process. There will still be discussions over this. This is the House version of it. So the Senate will get to weigh in on this after the House passes their version of the budget. In the end, this always gets hammered out kind of towards the end of the legislative session, with both chambers deciding on those priorities, and also the governor's office trying to weigh in on the back end as well.
House Bill 6 calls for spending almost $125 billion over the next 2 years, compared to the governor's request of $136 billion. The bill does not include a guaranteed pay raise for teachers, and it does not provide money for universal pre-K, both things that were included in Governor Beshear's budget proposal. Instead, the bill calls for allocating additional money through the state's main funding formula for K through 12 schools. And House Speaker David Osborne says the bill strongly suggests that school personnel deserve pay raises.